Hey everyone, Miss Alcorn here, broadcasting from the greenhouse. We've been talking a lot about air pollution and it's a little overwhelming. It's like, oh, it's in my house, it's outside, there's acid rain. What are we going to do? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about methods to reduce air pollutants. Notice the bike. Looks like my old 10-speed from the 90s. So the learning objective for today, by the end of this video, you should be able to explain how air pollutants can be reduced at the source. Okay? Reducing emissions. So reducing emissions equals reducing air pollutants. If we reduce the amount that is put into the environment, then you have less pollution. Make sense? So you can drive less. That's one way you can reduce it. Walk, bus, bike more. You can conserve electricity. Use smart appliances that use less electricity. Eat more plants, less meat. We've talked about eating in the lower in the trophic pyramid, how that uses less resources and therefore less energy. And then you can switch to renewable non-pollution emitting energy like solar, wind, and hydro. What are some laws and regulations governing this? We've talked about a lot of it. The Clean Air Act is one that lets the EPA set acceptable levels for criteria air pollutants. This monitors emissions levels from the power plants and other facilities, and corporations that release emissions above these levels get taxed, sued, or fined. The key vehicle standards, the corporate average fuel economy standards require the entire U.S. fleet of vehicles to meet average fuel criteria. So more efficient vehicles burn less gasoline. Okay, if you get more miles per gallon, then you have less gallons, because where does the gasoline go? It gets burned and put into the atmosphere, right? And therefore you have less NOx, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide released into the environment. Hope you can hear me. Pollution credits. This is similar to transferable quotas for fish. Companies that reduce emissions well below the EPA set levels can get pollution credits, and then they can sell these to companies that release more than acceptable levels. So what are some ways you can reduce air pollution from cars? There's these vapor recovery nozzles, okay? They capture the hydrocarbon release from gasoline fumes, I can't talk, during refueling, okay? This is a separate tube inside the nozzle. It captures the vapor, the gases, and returns them to this storage tank, okay? This reduces the volatile organic compounds which contribute to smog and can irritate your respiratory system. Also reduces benzene, which is a carcinogen, meaning a cancer-causing substance released from gas. Catalytic converters, who are my car buffs, these are required on all vehicles after 1975. Okay, this is a thing under the car that has metals in it that bind to NOx and carbon monoxide, okay? It converts those emissions, those gases, into carbon dioxide, nitrogen gas, oxygen, and water, which are not as harmful, okay? So how can we reduce sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides? Well, limestone can be used to reduce sulfur dioxide from coal power plants. So crushed coal mixed with limestone, which is calcium carbonate, before being burned in the boiler. This combines with the SO2 to produce calcium sulfate, which reduces the SO2 being emitted. Okay. And then that can be used to make gypsum wall board or sheetrock for home foundation. So that can be taken and reused. Okay, and you can kind of see how that is set up. You got the coal and the limestone coming together, which hopefully captures most of the sulfur oxides. Fluidized bed combustions. How does this thing keep popping up? So Fluidizing jets of air pumped into the combustion bed brings more oxygen into the reaction, okay? That brings the SO2 into more contact with calcium carbonate and limestone and allows the coal to be combusted at a lower temperature, which reduces nitrogen oxide emissions. Okay, then there's these scrubbers, okay? Wet and dry scrubbers. These are a large column tube pipe filled with chemicals that can actually absorb and neutralize some of the pollution, okay? Calcium oxide is a common scrubber. So this is in a factory and it kind of sucks out the crud from the emissions to make it less polluty. Polluty, yes, that is a great word to use on the APES exam. Wet scrubbers, okay, which target NOx, SOx, volatile organic compounds, and particulate matter. These also have chemical agents that absorb these pollutants, but then they also have these mist nozzles that grab the particulate matter, those tiny little particles, and water droplets as well. Okay, then you get sludge, and then it doesn't go away, but you can dispose of it some other way, have it not go into the environment. How can you reduce particulate matter? You can use an electrostatic precipitator. Power plant factory emissions pass through a device with a negatively charged electrode, giving particles a negative charge. Okay. Negatively charged particles stick to the positively charged plates, trapping them. Okay. Now, what happens is you discharge these and it falls down into a collection hopper, and then you throw it in a landfill. Move my face. A baghouse filter traps particulate matter as air from the combustion or industrial process passes through. Again, this is for something for like a big factory. Shaker device knocks this down, and then you throw it in a landfill. So these are ways of getting particulate matter out before it gets pumped into the atmosphere. Let's try this FRQ. Make a claim about the effectiveness of the Obama CAFE standards as an effort to reduce the levels of NOx in urban areas. Justify your claim with data from figure 1. So here you've got time, okay, versus miles per gallon, okay? And you have all of the information you need here. Good luck.